A lot of people don't even know what they're passionate about, what their interests are, because they don't have time to ever explore that because they're always working.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tylah. If you are on my YouTube channel, you probably know Tiana from our red wine talk. So here we are again with white wine this time. Yes. Cheers. And we're gonna talk a little bit about some reverse culture shocks that we experienced when we first moved back. So Tiana and I are besties. We met when we were living in France as expats. I moved home and Tiana still lives in France. She lives in Nice now, but her home country is America, just like me, and she's home right now visiting. So we are in Arizona together. She went to college here, and one of my best friends, Marley, lives here, so we decided to meet up in Arizona.
Have a little hot girl spring.
And have a little hot girl spring. So today on my channel, we're gonna be talking about some reverse culture shocks that we experienced, because when you first move to another country, of course you're going to experience culture shocks. But what they don't tell you is that when you spend a lot of time in another country and you move home, there are reverse culture shocks. My first time leaving my home country was when I moved to France. So I absolutely had no idea what I was in for when I came back. So when I was in France, I was only there for 1 year, but I swear it felt like at least 2 years. Like, it felt way longer when I was there than I actually was. But when I came back, it seemed like nothing had changed. So some people really cared about my year because I came back a completely different person. I had experienced so many different things. I saw so many different people and experienced so many different cultures, and I'm ready to talk about it. For the most part, nobody cares.
Right.
No.
I think it's just, people just don't understand. It's like, if you've never left your hometown or even like your home state or traveled out of the country, you don't know what you don't know. Like,
right.
You don't get it. So I definitely experienced the same thing, and it like got to the point where I just don't talk to people about like my experiences anymore.
I started to feel a little bit like an outsider in my home country, which felt so weird, because I'm starting to critique a lot of things about my home country. I'm like, well, why do we do this when we could easily do this? So like, you just start to nitpick different things because you just got so accustomed to another culture. So when I first came back, I would say the first thing that I noticed, well, when I first got back to the States, I literally had a whole panic attack because everything was just so new and so different.
And I feel like you came home at the worst time, because we had gone through confinement in France already, the first confinement, and so this was right around the time where things were reopening in France. Like, everything was kind of back to normal. We had just gone to a party in Paris
like 2 days before
she left, and it was like everything was normal. And then to fly back to New York, where it was like the epicenter of COVID at that time, yeah. It was just a completely different vibe.
I was not vibing at all, actually. I literally stepped out of the airport and I was like, wait, would you guys let me back into France maybe if I beg you hard enough? So the first culture shock I had was literally when I was walking through my neighborhood, going to the park, and a stranger smiled at me and I didn't smile back. And they got bold because they said, hello. Like, I swear. They smiled at me and I didn't smile back, so I was like, okay. Like, in France, you don't smile at strangers. If you smile at a stranger, it's kind of like you want something from them. Right. Like, you're trying to lure them into a trap. Mm-hmm. So in America, that's not the case. You smile at people, you say hello, you ask them how they are. In France, I don't have time for that.
And that's the thing that I've heard of like French people tell me, is that like they say how are you in America as like a greeting. They're not really expecting you to tell them how you're doing. You know, it's kind of just like a hi, how are you? Your answer is supposed to be I'm good, how are you? They don't really care how you're doing. So in France, they're like, we don't ask you that because we don't ask you that unless we really care to know how you're doing.
Small talk, oh my god, that's such a huge thing in American culture. How are you doing? I'm great. How are the kids? Oh my god, did you see that Shelby went to college? Dude, does anybody care?
No.
No. Nobody cares.
I've noticed that a bit too, and it's funny because I feel like it just goes back to like in France, they only ask you questions that they genuinely care to hear about. So here it's like people will make small talk just to make small talk, but not really because they care to know like what's going on.
Right, exactly.
It's just to be friendly. And in France, they're like, you know, if I don't care what you're doing or what you're making for dinner, I'm not gonna ask you.
And I much prefer that. Right. Thank you. And I was telling Tiana earlier, the first time that I went to buy breadcrumbs in France. I don't remember what breadcrumbs are called in French. It's like, and I didn't know. This is like right when I got to France, and I asked the lady at the store, can you help point me to breadcrumbs? And she said, it's down that way. And I was like, all right, cool. So I'm gonna go down this way. And then I was like, wow, I really don't want to have to ask her again, but I can't find them. And then I saw her at the end of the aisle, and I was like, hey, like, where are the breadcrumbs? And she was like, up. And I was like, okay.
That's so funny. I had the same exact experience. I think I was looking for sriracha or something, some kind of sauce in France, and I asked about them, and they're like, okay, fine, like, I'll take you to the aisle.
We're like, fine.
I'll take you to the aisle. So we go to the aisle, and she's like, here, it's here. And I'm like, ma'am, this is ketchup.
And at that point, you can't ask her again.
Yeah, so I'm just like, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Merci. Knowing like this is not what I want, but I'm not gonna make you more mad by asking you to do your job and help me find something.
No, we can't really talk bad because the French people in my comments will literally drag us. They'll be like, well, maybe you should know exactly what you're looking for and where to find it. Maybe you shouldn't even be asking for help.
Maybe it's because you didn't ask in French.
Oh mon dieu.
Oh la la.
Public drinking.
Yeah.
Which we're doing right now.
Right. Cheers.
You cannot walk around with open alcohol in the States, and that throws me off.
It's crazy to me how like in some states, in Arizona you can like open carry, so you can have a gun, you can walk down the street holding your gun, but you can't walk down the street and hold a beer.
You're lying.
I swear, it's an open carry state. You can have it out, like walk down the street with it, visible like on your waistband or like even in your hand, and they don't care. But if you're holding a beer, that's where we draw the line. So another one that I've kind of noticed since I've been back is like the work-life balance and just how different it is, like the mentality around working and playtime or fun time.
Right.
I feel like Americans live to work.
They do.
When I used to live here, I was like, I mean, I had the same mentality, like work, work, work. And even when you work 40 hours a week, you have the weekend, you don't even want to do anything.
No,
on the
you're
weekend because you're so tired
from work.
That's not something I want to do for the rest of my life, you know? I don't know. I feel like France has a really good like work-life balance. Like they work hard, but they also have like 5-6 weeks paid vacation. Like they know when too much is too much. Like when it's time to take their lunch break, they take their lunch break. Americans are like, oh, I'll just grab something fast and like I'll eat while I finish my work. French people are like, I'm gonna be gone for an hour.
See you when I see you.
Lunch, right? And then when I'm done, I'll come back, finish my work.
Right.
But I feel like Americans are just so programmed to just be like, work, 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 and your worth is tied to how much you can produce or like how much money you can make for someone.
Yes, and like you ask somebody like about themselves, like the first thing that they say is like, I do this, like my job is this, like not anything about who you are as a person, because literally that does not matter in America. Like it's how much money you make, what do you do for your job,
how many people know you.
Yes.
Like, and you have like a real identity. Like I feel like here people don't have an identity. Their identity is their job title. That's it. Like a lot of people don't even know what they're passionate about, what their interests are, because they don't have time to ever explore that because they're always working.
Not us dragging Americans now. Now the French are on our side. They're like, yes! In our comments like, you're so right. I would say that like after speaking the baby French that I do speak, I phrase my sentences differently in English. Earlier I texted my friend and I said, the sunrise, it is so pretty. Like the sunrise, it is so pretty. Like I'm talking about the sunrise.
I had the same experience. Like I feel like normally, like when I'm speaking with native English speakers, I talk so fast. And like I had to slow down when I moved to France, and I was living with people who weren't native English speakers. They didn't understand me when I spoke really fast. I like had to retrain myself to speak slowly and speak in sentences that are easier to understand. And so now I just feel like that's a habit. The way that I form sentences are just like very minimal. I try not to make complex sentences. I speak very slowly so people can understand me. So I think that's definitely something I've experienced.
When I first got back, I was calling the toilet. I was calling the bathroom.
Oh God.
The toilet, which is like just so aggressive.
Yeah.
And it was my first day, and I went to breakfast with my friend, and she goes, "Where's Jeff?" And I said, "Oh, he's in the toilet." And she was like, "The toilet?"
When I got to France, I thought it was so weird that they're like, "Why do you say the toilet? Like that sounds so dirty and like gross." But then like it makes sense because the bathroom is separate from the toilet. The bathroom is just like the sink and maybe sometimes the bathtub, and then the toilet is just the toilet.
And here the toilet paper is just white and boring.
That's so funny because I did a video about like weird things that Americans do where I posted on my Instagram story and I asked like French people and Europeans to like comment things that they think is weird about America, and my host dad answered the question and he was like, the toilet paper is not pink.
I love the pink toilet paper in France, personally. So that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed chatting with us and talking about some reverse culture shocks that we experienced moving back to the States. For now, we are gathered here today in Arizona and we're going to go enjoy the rest of our evening. So I hope you do the same and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Everyone's looking at me thinking that I'm different. Everyone's looking at me thinking that I'm living. But I don't really care what they all say. It's easier said than done.